Awesome. Hello, guys. Happy Tuesday. Happy payday. Happy August 17th. I say this every Tuesday, but I swear this is the fastest year ever. Um, I think it's just because I'm getting old. Like the older we get, the faster the years go. Um, but that's why we have no time to waste. No time to waste. Because all of the work we're putting in now and the seeds we plant now, those are going to be the seeds that start to sprout come January. So we got to get our heads in the game. Kids are back in school. Woohoo. Well, most kids. Um, and now we can get back to normal life now that summer is coming to an end. And everybody can start getting their groove on again. Today is payday, which is super exciting, but it's also our leadership Zoom day, which has honestly become I think one of like everybody's favorite Zooms every week, because we get to hear from a different 80K or a different 200K in the company, their story, their tips. And it's a way to be able to really hear and dive deep into people's stories and get like not just all the good stuff that happens, but some of the, bad stuff too, because all of us on here, we've been through a lot. Business isn't a straight line. It's up and down. It's hills and valleys. Getting on this Zoom. Oh, sorry, my phone rang. Always rings during a Zoom. But those hills and valleys, I think this Zoom gives people hope that, look, if other people go through these things in their business and they get through them and they get past them, then I can too. And I think that that's why this has become so popular every week. And I love this Zoom because there's so many 80Ks and 200Ks in this company that we would never know their stories or get to hear from them. If it were, you know, we wouldn't know. And it's so huge that we have a Zoom where we can hear across the board just different people's stories and backgrounds and their tips that we might never get to hear from. So I'm super excited because today I have somebody on that I don't know their story. And it's always exciting when you get to hear somebody brand new and what their journey is. Dawn Stephenson is our guest today, and she is a 200K, not on my personal team, um, but a sideline. And that's what else I love about the Zoom is that people are always so gracious to volunteer to do this. And I think that's pretty awesome. When they take an hour out of their lives to pour into people that they might not be making money off of. And that just goes to show how cool people are, how awesome the leaders are in this company, that they truly just want to see people succeed no matter whose team they're on. So Dawn, I am so excited. First of all, I want to thank you so much for saying yes to doing this and being as vulnerable as you want to be today. And I kind of want to start with the beginning of your story, like what you were doing before you ever got into network marketing, before you found this industry. And then how did you find the industry? Like, is Lavelle your first company, or did you dabble in network marketing before Lavelle? And then how did you find Lavelle? And then we'll kind of go from that point.
Okay, well, first of all, Lisa, thank you very much for inviting me to be on this Zoom. It's definitely an honor, and you guys, it's one of the great things I love about this business is being connected with other incredible leaders and learning from them. But yes, I'd be more than happy to take you back to where I got started. I live in Harrisburg, Missouri, so small town, 4 kids, and I have a grandson. And I was in the banking industry before Lavelle came along. I was assistant vice president there, worked there for over 20 years, started out as a bank teller and worked my way, up through the ranks with the company. And so anyway, I was a regional manager, very, very demanding job. So before Thrive came into my life, I was basically a tired, exhausted, worn out mama going through the motions of life. And it's crazy. I honestly believe that people put other people in your paths for a reason. Sometimes you don't know what that reason is or how they, why they cross your paths at the time. But that's kind of how I met. I'm personally enrolled under Carrie Ann Webb, and some of you guys might know her. But my daughter, my oldest daughter, actually met her whenever she was going to college down in Texas. So I won't get into that story, but that's how I got connected with Carrie Ann, and it was actually with another direct sales company. And so we became, Facebook friends and so forth. I dabbled in that company with Carrie Ann. She was very successful. Me, I wasn't passionate about it. It was more about just getting my product for free. Not really, I didn't make any kind of income. It was just basically to pay for my product. So I wasn't really familiar with direct sales or multi-level, marketing companies, how they work, the opportunity. I didn't understand, any of that. I thought that was just for special people, I guess. But insert Thrive, she was very successful, and I kind of got to know her a little bit through social media. And so when she made the switch to Lavelle and started posting about Thrive, of course, it definitely caught my attention and my oldest daughter's attention. It was right around Christmas time, 2014. I remember really clearly, and went to her page and started watching her posts and got intrigued. Well, Christmas got passed, and I reached out to her about it and ended up buying a 5-day trial.
Hey, Donna, I don't
Can you hear me?
some where we can't hear you good.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear fine.
Okay, you can hear it. Yeah, you keep cutting in and out.
Is that everybody or just Lisa?
Okay, so yeah, that's what we need to figure out. Everybody else is good?
Yeah, we're good, Lisa.
Okay, it's probably my connection.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Go ahead.
My connection. Okay. So anyway, bought a 5-day trial for me and my husband. I often tell people one simple little decision to buy a 5-day trial. I think it was $25 a piece, so $50 for both of us. Completely changed my life. I had no idea, at the time I'm making that decision would. But of course, I fell in love, with the product right away. My husband was one of those that didn't notice, until the second week. But I immediately saw Carrie Ann's success, with the promoting and being a free brand promoter, and heard about the bonuses. So I didn't even order as a customer. I was on day 3, went ahead and ordered a promoter kit, started sharing, just like what Carrie Ann was. I was basically duplicating what she was doing, showing off my DFT on social media, sharing what it was doing for me. People at work were noticing a difference in me and so forth. I sold trials like crazy those first 2 weeks, still do to this day, because that's what grew my business. But I went through $400 worth of product. So quickly. I couldn't keep it in stock. It was crazy. Hit my VIP 800 bonus, hit my VIP 1600 bonus. I feel like the first month was all a blur because it just happened so fast, but went on to 4K, went on to 12K in my first month and started earning, my carb bonus. So going back to your question, Lisa, about, having, any experience in direct sales, I kind of dabbled in it, but like I said, I wasn't passionate. But after my first month with Lavelle, then my eyes really opened up to the industry, to the possibilities. The product just sells itself. It's one thing what it did for me, but what I hear about, the stories and what it did for my friends and family fueled my fire even more, and my passion. And so I knew that I had my hands on something pretty special. And obviously it caught attention. I live in a small town, and had a very successful career in the banking industry, so connected with a lot of people. And so they saw the success that I was having, really quickly. And I think, about that point is when I started really noticing the vision. And I remember calling Carrie, and she was the first person, before I even talked to my husband, she was the first person I talked to. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think this company can replace my salary that I'm making at the bank, and shared basically what my goals and my visions were. Where when I first began, I didn't have that, I didn't, I don't know, I just didn't see the picture of it. So she was the very first person, I shared that. And she actually left her, she was in the banking industry as well, and left that because of this multi-level business marketing company that we have. But anyway, shared that with her. And, sure enough, I think it was about 5 months somewhere, I was able to say goodbye to corporate America. And you guys, that was such a huge, huge blessing for me. I worked really hard up the corporate ladder, so to speak, but if anybody has been in the same shoes, once you get up there, it's not all roses. I mean, I was almost to the point where I really hated my job at that point. And I hated that because at one point I really liked the company. So I felt like that this was just an opportunity to be able to get out of that situation that I was in. So said goodbye to corporate America. Best decision ever. Is to just, give me a lot of freedom, a lot more time to spend with my family, schedule things around my schedule and my family's schedule instead of the other way around. And I also went to Thrive Palooza right about that time as well. And that was my first time going to Thrive Palooza. I almost did not go, you guys. I didn't see what the big deal was. I don't know. I just was like, eh. But my oldest daughter is always like, let's go, let's do this, and she talked me into it. And I am so glad. She was actually one of my first promoters as well. But I was so glad that she did, because you guys, that was a game changer for me, and really seeing the vision of where this company could take me. I remember all of the 200Ks being up on the stage and hearing their backgrounds. There was hairdressers, there was bankers like me, there were stay-at-home moms. I mean, all different kinds of walks of life, hitting that top rank at the company. And I wasn't a 200K yet. In fact, I probably quit my job before I should have, but we have lots of other streams of income, so I wasn't concerned about that. So don't go and do that where I was at. But anyway, I just saw, the vision, and I was like, gosh, if these people can do it, so can I. And you guys, this is the power of the vision board, because I left that Thrive Palooza and I learned about vision boards and so forth, came home and made a vision board and told myself I was going to hit 200K by the next Thrive Palooza. Because I wanted to be up there on that stage. I wanted to hold up that 200K, sign. I'm so bad. I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. And went to work, leading my team. I'm continue sharing. I'm being consistent, and so forth. And once they set the date for Thrive Palooza, I was getting really, really close to hitting the 200K. But once they set the date, I actually, made another vision board, and I put that exact date on that Saturday. I think it was a Saturday. Yeah, it would have been a Saturday, that exact date of when I wanted to hit 200K. Okay. It was a mind frame, because I already had that mindset, and I already saw myself up there on that stage. And that is so important. I saw that a year ago, and then I put in the work to make it happen. Thrive Palooza was coming up. It was that April. I still hadn't hit 200K, but I still had that mindset. And me and my team, we actually drove. I'm from Missouri, and we drove down to Texas. I want to say, I don't know, 10, 12-hour drive. We all piled into a vehicle, and my whole team knew how close I was, and gosh, I love my team, but they rallied around me and helped me to get me there. I mean, we worked the entire time since we left Missouri all the way there, doing 3-way calls, messaging. I mean, it was just nonstop. We got there, did the Friday night party and so forth. And then we went back to work. We had our laptops. We were all sitting down on the floor, working, doing, again, 3-way calls, just nonstop. Well, at that point, it got past midnight, and we're getting into Saturday. And Carrie Ann, of course, was helping me as well. And she was hanging out with some friends. And so she texted me, been keeping contact, say, how close are you? I'm like, I'm getting really close. And I don't remember exactly where I was at, but I mean, within thousands. And so she's like, hey, this is where we're at. Come and meet us. So my whole team, we got up, we left, and, Carrie Ann was there. Holly Choate was there, Jennifer Zandit was there, and Maria Dillard. So those are all of my leaders going all the way up to Maria. So they were all like, where you at? And I was a nervous wreck at this time. My daughter had to take my phone, log into my cloud office and tell them and so forth. And long story short, my incredible leaders above me, rallied around and helped. And then I was able to hit 200K on the exact day, you guys, that I had on my vision board that I said I would hit it. And that never even registered to me. I mean, I was so excited. We were celebrating. Holly got a great video of it. I mean, probably one of the best moments of my life. But I remember sitting there at Thrivepalooza on Saturday and Paul talking about vision boards, and the light bulb just went off, and I looked over at my daughter and I'm like, oh my gosh, my vision board, I had that I would hit 200K on this date, and I hit it on that exact date. So anyhow, that's kind of how I got to 200K. It went very, very fast. Gosh, a lot of fun. But lots of ups and downs that go right along with it. And before I get into that, Lisa, did you have any questions? You want me to kind of keep going into my journey, or?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, you keep saying your daughter, and I'm thinking you don't look old enough to have a daughter
Thank
that's
you.
older than you. Or that's old enough to be in college. I'm like, what? I kind of, how long exactly when you joined to hitting 200K? How long was that?
It would have been 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 months.
16 months. Okay. And what year did you join?
I joined right at the very end of December 2014. So I basically because literally it was right before New Year's Day. And so I basically just say January 2015.
So you were kind of here before there was like all these products. When there was just like, it's so funny you said, you weren't passionate about the last thing you did, because I was just talking to a couple of my leaders yesterday, like, it doesn't matter how awesome a compensation plan is, if you're not passionate about the products, you won't go anywhere. You know what I mean? So it's cool that you kind of you kind of mentioned that, because I'm like, it's so true. You have to be passionate about what you have your hands on, and you can do amazing things. So you have to be using these products and building a testimony, and believing in your story, because that's how we sell. That's how we build, is sharing our story. So I mean, 2014, 2015, you've been in a while, and it's not all. I think that's why this Zoom has become so popular, is that, people kind of get vulnerable and talk about some of the hard times they go through too, because it's not all up in business isn't just a straight line to success. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes we lose rank, sometimes we lose or miss bonuses, sometimes our upline sucks, which it sounds like you had great upline support, but sometimes people in our downline quit and we feel like, oh my gosh, our business is going to die. All these things that can happen over the time that we've, been doing this, and there's just no way around those things. They're going to happen. What are some of those things that have happened that you feel like maybe stalled your business out, or, were setbacks that you had to overcome?
Yep, absolutely. And, I feel like, it's always, a roller coaster, but, I look at it as not, and I say I've learned this, I wouldn't say I've done this, from the beginning, but every setback is just a stepping stone into the right direction, because I try to look back and I learn from it and thinking, okay, why did this happen? I'm a true believer things happen for a reason. Same way Carrie Ann crossed my path is kind of crazy, and now I consider her one of my best friends. But things just happen for a reason. So it hasn't all been great roses and and so forth. I mean, there's lots of ups and downs. Same way, when I worked in the banking industry, the same thing. There was ups and downs, peaks and valleys, with that as well. And I think one of the hardest things for me at the beginning was when people give up on themselves and they quit. And I don't want to say I took it personal, but it was more like I knew the opportunity that was there and I wanted it more badly than what they wanted it. And so sometimes I would work too much to try to convince them, let me continue helping you, stick with it, all that kind of stuff. When in reality, they have something else going on that I don't know about, and there's some other reason why they're quitting or they're not being consistent or whatever it is. I mean, I don't give up on them, but I don't spend as much time with them, just knowing I don't know what's happening behind closed doors. I don't know what they're dealing with. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, as far as life happens and so forth. So I've learned, to let those people go, and go find somebody else that I can help share the vision and help them to be successul. So that was really hard for me to do that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, if I can do this, anybody can do this. And I want this so badly for all my friends, or anybody, even if they're not my friend and they join and I get to know them. I want it for everybody. Um, with the business, there's been lots of ups and downs. I mean, with any business, there is. Even when I was in the banking industry, you guys, we had our peak times, we had our busy times and we had our slow times, same thing with this business. And, there's been times when I've had people that have left, that were high ranks. One of them was a friend of mine from my small town. She actually moved out of the small town. And we kind of lost connection until Lavelle, and she decided to join. And, I helped her, worked really hard, with her. And she was an 80K leader, you guys, and really close to 200K. And one day she just decided to quit, and I'm like, what are you doing? I couldn't even get a hold of her. She avoided me. Whenever she sent me a text telling me that she was going to quit, and I kind of saw the signs and knew it was coming, so it didn't completely blind me, but that was hard. It was hard to swallow, and I will say to this day she regrets it, and she's actually joined back, and we've actually talked and chatted since then. But what I've learned, from talking with her and what it was going through, I mean, she had some things that she was dealing with, with life, and she wasn't thinking clearly, and so those are things, when things happen, I've learned not to take it personal. And, you try to salvage what you can, but if that happens, then you got to move on. And so, with her team, I tried to reach out to as many people as I can, build connections and build relationships. But obviously losing, a big leader like that, that's going to impact, your business. And it's caused me, to dive down below 200K. And so, my thoughts are, you just move on and you go find somebody else. And since then, I found some incredible other, people to rock this business with. And most of them, I tell you guys, that I enroll anymore aren't people that I know. It's through social media, it's through growing my network, connecting with people, building relationships, and so forth. Those are the people that now, because I've already kind of gone through, my warm market, my close family and friends. But I will say, with my close family and friends, just being consistent is important, because you never know. And I've had people within the last year that have been watching me for the last 6.5 years that are just now reaching out to me saying, okay, I've been watching, I've actually had 2 or 3 just this month. And so consistency is very, very, very important. But anyhow, that's just going to happen. People are going to come and go, and, you can do what you can, but then you just gotta move on. Another thing that I've learned the hard way is not to deal with drama, nip it in the bud. And I actually heard another leader talk about this. She's like, there is no drama. If someone starts creating drama, she goes and has a conversation with them and say, hey, you cannot say this kind of stuff in the chats and so forth. And there was a time in my business, oh my gosh, I had a team that had a lot of drama, and it brought me down and it brought other people down, and I didn't address it and take care of it like I should have. And that has impacted my team. And now it is great. And that person is pretty much gone. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, now I can breathe again. And the rest of us can breathe again. And, I've learned from that, because I'm like, man, I should have really addressed this and nipped it in the bud in a nice and very professional way, which I can do, without letting it prolong and impact my team. So that was a huge, I don't know, life lesson that I've learned. And I should have already known that by working with employees in the banking industry, but I don't know. I just felt like this was different. They're not my employees. And I considered it different, but I'm like, it is my business and it does impact, members of my team. So I have to be careful about that. So anyhow, those are a couple of things that I have learned. So what other questions you got for me, Lisa?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I mean, I think especially when you are growing and you're dealing with all these people for the first time, like as your team starts to get huge, you don't know how to handle situations like that. But you learn that you have to handle it. You can't just like swipe it under the rug, because if you do, it can make a lasting impact. And normally, I mean, when stuff like that happens, the drama people usually end up leaving at some point, or their businesses start to go backwards. So it's a tough lesson to learn, but you've got to nip it in the bud and deal with it for sure. You kind of talked a little bit about how you've been through, obviously after, several years doing Lavelle, you pretty much probably signed your friends and family that were going to join you. I mean, of course you get those occasional stragglers 6 years in, like, yeah, I want to join you now. You're like, what? But what are you doing? I think that, like I tell my team, the most important thing that you need to be doing every day is growing your network. Because if you're not growing your network, if you're not adding new people, you're not going to grow. I mean, period, end of story. It doesn't matter how many Zooms you're on and how, much you log into your cloud office and how many patches you slap on every day. None of that is going to matter and grow your business if you're not growing your network. So what tips do you have for growing your network, out and about or online social media? Like, what do you do personally to make sure that you're adding new people every day?
Great question. Okay. So yes, and I do, just like what Lisa said, do online and outside of social media. When it comes outside to social media, I've actually added quite a few people to my network, and a lot of it is just being connected with other people through community events. I'm really involved in our local community. So actually last night I just had a 2.5 hour meeting and got connected with some people that I've never met, and they're even in my local community, and we weren't connected on social media. So that way, my kids are involved in sports, or they're both athletes, and my youngest is on some competitive teams, and she's joined a new basketball and a new softball team within the last year. And I met some incredible parents that way, and so usually whenever the coach goes and tags people, in photos, I'll get to talk with them at games or whatever, but then I go and I start sending friend requests to all of them, make sure I'm with them on social media so they can see my posts that way. And then of course I love summertime because I can wear my DFT loud and proud. And so I get asked questions all the time. I'm an Activate queen. I'm drinking Activate. I get asked about that all the time. So I am, always adding people and meeting people through events, through, teams and so forth. That's outside. So when it comes to social media, it is, of course, I add those people onto social media because, I'm sharing with them maybe, at the basketball games or whatever, but I also want them to be able to see my social media posts and so forth. And then, but also when it comes to social media, I grow my network that way and try to find people that I have a common interest in. So I'm into some Facebook groups that I'm passionate about, and I chime in there and meet people that way and connect with them that way. And a lot of times send friend requests to people that are in those groups. I usually don't post in those groups about my business or about Thrive unless the door is open and something comes up. And here's an example. I was in a group This just happened here recently, and somebody asked, what it had nothing, the question they asked had nothing to do with the group, but they basically just kind of want to pull people in the group and say, what are you guys paying for a car payment? This is what I'm making as a car payment, or what I'm paying, and I feel like it's way too much, Of course, I know how she asked that. I'm like, well, that's going to depend on what kind of vehicle you have. I mean, there's just so many variables that go into that. So it was kind of a weird question, but oh my gosh, that post blew up. Comment, people just sharing, what they're driving, what their car payments are, and so forth. And so I was like, I don't have a car payment. Lavelle pays for mine. They pay for my husband's. We both are luxury auto bonus earners. So of course I took that opportunity in just a real nice way and just kind of made it to get people to ask me questions. And I said, honestly, I don't have a car payment. My company gives me, $800 a month for my vehicle. And my husband also gets $800 a month, for my vehicle, and kind of left it at that. And oh my gosh, people are responding back to my comment. People are private messaging me and just saying, how are you doing this? What are you doing? And so forth. So sometimes I'll take the opportunity like that if the door is open. But other than that, I just, try to build relationships that way, and, grow your social network. That's one of the things I did not do from the very beginning. And I tell my team, I regret that. And maybe not at the very, very beginning, because I was going through my warm market, but I tell you what, I did not understand that probably, I don't know, a year, 2 years into my business. And I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. Because if you think about it, the more people that you can get in front of, the more people that you have an opportunity to get thriving and to get to join your business. It's kind of like a Target store. The more people that you can get into Target, the more that their sales are going to go up. And that's the same thing with us. So I work really hard. I usually do Facebook and Instagram. I'm better on Facebook than when I am Instagram, but I'm learning. And I definitely want to go into other options. I haven't done this yet. Like on TikTok, I heard a leader the other day talk about how she got some leads on TikTok. And so now I'm like, okay, I got to have my daughter show me how to use TikTok, because I have no idea. But I think when it comes to social media, it grows and changes constantly, you guys. The way I do business now is not the way I did business whenever I first started. And so that's one of the things, is you got to be willing to change, and you've got to be willing to learn. You've got to adapt to those things, because if you don't, you're going to be back, way back there behind everything. So don't be afraid to learn new things and to learn from other leaders. So, but anyway, yes, growing your network and being consistent, on social media is definitely really important. And then just connecting with people, outside. I had a guy the other day who ordered and had no idea. I don't even know how I got connected with them, honestly, but he works with my husband. My husband didn't say anything to him. We weren't even Facebook friends, but he said he saw one of my posts and got really, really intrigued. And I'm like, did somebody I'm still baffled by it, but I'm thankful that I was consistent enough, because then he found me and he was like, hey, I want to be able to experience this. And my wife does too. So that's where the consistency comes in, because you just never know, and you don't know who's watching. What other questions?
Are you mostly doing Instagram and or Facebook, or are you doing Instagram? Do you mess around with TikTok and Reels and all that?
I haven't yet. I really need to. I watched another Zoom. Gosh, I can't even remember who it was, and or another brand promoter, and she'd gotten, I don't know, it was unreal. It was like 46 new promoters through TikTok. And so it was a really good Zoom. And so anyway, in TikTok, I kind of, from what I know, is really similar to Reels. And so that I have not gotten into. I know that is important, and I need to figure out how to go about doing that. And I need to start doing that. I actually had a conversation with Jennifer Zanet about it about a couple of weeks ago. So I have not done that. I know that's a whole open market. And if none of you guys, if you haven't done it yet, you need to do it. YouTube, I have learned, has been my best friend. If there's something I don't know how to do, you guys, I go search it up on YouTube and I figure it out. I don't wait for somebody to say, hey, show me how to do Reels. Hey, show me how to do TikTok or whatever. I mean, when I first started, I'm not really good on Instagram as much as I am Facebook either, but I was scared to death on Instagram when I first started. But I just went to YouTube and started watching videos and taught myself and then started watching other people. And that's how I learned. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do with Reels and with TikTok as well.
I'm the same way, girl. I don't like change. um, I'm just now figuring out Instagram. So yeah. But you know what? There's so many ways to grow this business that I don't think people need to feel intimidated if they're not doing that either. Obviously I think people need to learn those things for sure. Any avenue to grow your business, but also, especially during like busy times, that's not the time where you want to try to go learn something brand spanking new. Like, concentrate on what you do know and do a lot of that instead of like, I think a lot of people feel intimidated. I know I do. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do that. And look at all these people and I need to learn it. But that's actually sidetracking me, spending 5 hours, 2 days ago trying to figure out how to do a reel. I could have literally done what I know,
Mhm.
which is Facebook groups, and added so many new people. So learn that stuff. I absolutely, like, in spare time, but don't let it take over your life to where, you're now neglecting what you do know how to do, and that will make your business suffer. So yeah, we prove you can be a 200K without doing reels. You can.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. And I agree exactly with that. You guys, I mean, I see people do that and I'm like, oh, I'd like to learn that and be able to do it. But it is not something that you have to do to grow your business. Mine has been, like Lisa, has been primarily Facebook. I do a little bit on Instagram, but most of mine, has been face to face and through Facebook. I'll be completely honest. But I'm open to doing new things. Am I scared? Am I nervous? Yeah. And I think when I listened to Maria Diller talking about reels for the first time, and she's like, just go do it. Doesn't matter how good it is. It doesn't matter. Go look at mine. I just did my first one. I mean, I don't know. She just kind of put my mind at ease. I was like, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. I can figure this out. But it hasn't been really a top priority right now because things are going great on Facebook. But it is something I do want to explore. But just like Lisa said, it does not. I mean, if something is working for you and it's working well, keep going with that, because you can spend a lot of time trying to figure something out, and sometimes it's just the procrastination in us too. I do that. I will research and research and research, and then I'm like, okay, Dawn, you're just procrastinating. You know what to do, just go do it. I mean, so sometimes you can spend too much time and it's just a procrastination thing. But I think Facebook is a great way, and with groups I've had tremendous success with that.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. 100%. Um, when you think back, like, well, actually, not even thinking back to the beginning of your business, but what do you do with brand new people? Like, let's say I'm in your inbox today and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to sign up. How do you take somebody through that first month to kind of ensure, well, not, we can't ensure, unfortunately, but help them try to get one or two of those bonuses? Um, I mean, we both know that people come in and sometimes they don't get those bonuses, and that's okay. I mean, I've had several 200Ks that I've interviewed that have said they didn't get any of those bonuses. It doesn't mean you're not going to be successful in Lavelle. It just means, hey, your business didn't start off crazy. You didn't have that support from people right out of the gate. You had to earn it. But of course, if we can help somebody get one of those or both of those, it truly does help make a difference. We both know that. Like, you see money like that in the beginning and it's kind of like, okay, there's money to be made here and more people will stick to it. What do you do with a brand new person without kind of overwhelming them, but keeping them on track and, all that in those first couple weeks?
Yep. Well, one of the first things that I try to do is, figure out what their vision is and what they want, out of this. I think that's really important to know what their why is, at the very beginning. Because to me, it makes it a little bit more personal because I want to help them achieve that. And everybody's is going to be different and their why can change throughout their journey. My why definitely did, and my goals definitely did. Some people, it may be, they see me earning a car bonus. They want to earn, have their car paid for. Some people, it's to pay for daycare or pay for groceries or pay for gas or give up a second job or give up a primary job. So trying to figure out, what their why is, what their vision is. One of the great things I like them to watch is Brittany Williams' video that when she shared her journey down in Vegas. I was actually there doing that lifestyle getaway, and there's lots of incredible stories just like hers. But I don't know, it was something about it. It's real, it's raw. It gets to people's emotions, when they watch that. And I can share my journey and what this done. But being able to hear from somebody else is kind of like Thrive. It's validation. And again, I feel like it just hits on people's emotions, So that's usually one of the first things that I have them watch. And then, I could, of course, explain, the bonuses, making sure that they understand that, getting their commitment that they want to go after it, and letting them know I'll help you, every step of the way. If you want to go after these bonuses, let's go, let's rock and roll, And once that happens, I try to keep it really, really simple. I find that if you complicate things too much or give a brand new promoter too much information, they're going to be overwhelmed and they're not going to know what to do. This is all about sharing what these 3 steps have done. That's what it's all about. That's what made me hit my bonus, by sharing with people and getting product into their hands, getting those trials into their hands. So, if they haven't made, a social media post, I help them with that. A lot of times they're like, okay, I don't want to post, and I don't want their post to be salesy, like, come join me on the Strive experience, or come join my, I don't want it to be that way, because then people just tune, that part off. So I help walk them through on creating, a good social media post, showing their face, showing off their DFT, and sharing, what the 3 steps have done. And then, of course, as they start getting interest, start putting people in 3-way chats with me, because they're brand new, and start putting them in 3-way chats with me, so that way I can share my experience, which goes back to the validation, part of it. And if they're ready to get started, to help them to get started, whether they want to, place their first order and ready to go, or whether they want, to start off with a trial. I just tell people, you just got to experience it to get what it's like. Trust me, you're going to love it, So anyhow, I just keep it really simple, sharing through social media, getting trials out, making a list of your close family and friends that that need this. Who do you know that's tired and exhausted, living off of caffeinated drinks, dealing with aches and discomforts, dealing with digestive, gut health issues, dealing with aches and discomfort, or is it the aches and discomfort? The list goes on and on. Who do you know? Start making your list and start reaching out to those people and sharing, what your experience is all about. So that's basically it. It's just sharing, getting product into people's hands, and having them plug into me. So I can share mine, for the validation purposes, and I can also answer their questions. So that's why I tell they don't, if someone asks, well, how much caffeine's in it, or, what's this? I don't want that new person even worrying about that. I want them sharing. So I tell them, I said, don't worry about answering their questions. If they ask a question, no matter what, put them in a 3-way chat and, introduce me. And then when you do that, say, Dawn, this person also has this question, or they want to know how much it is for a monthly supply, or, what exactly is in Thrive, whatever their question is. I said, when you introduce me, let me know. So I'm going to share my experience, but I'll also, answer their question at the same time. And I said, that way you don't have to worry about it, number one. And number two, you can listen to my voice clips, because I always leave voice clips when I do that. And you can listen to my voice clips and you can learn all at the same time. Let me do the hard work. You just connect the people to me. So anyhow, that's what I do. In my team page, I have got, units, training units. And so I've got information in there that goes more in depth that a lot of times I will share with them, after their 2 weeks or their VIP bonus is over with, but how to grow your social network, working groups. We have a customer page, we have a promoter potential page, talking about those kind of things and so forth. So we'll get more in depth, as we go on. But the first 2 weeks, I just keep it really simple. It's about sharing, it's about getting product in people's hands, and it's about connecting them, with somebody else or connecting with me, so that way I can share my experience for validation purposes.
Yeah, I love that. Keep it simple so they're not overwhelmed, because sometimes they'll get into a team page or something and they're like, okay, do I need to watch all 50 videos? Do I need to? And then they're so sidetracked, they're not just keeping it simple, two customers, two promoters. Um, I also wanted to ask you kind of what you do with when you get like people objecting, like, they seem like they want to sign, but they say things like, I just don't know if I have the money. It's too expensive. Or I don't know if I have the time. Or, I mean, what do you do to handle, I don't know, to push those people off the fence, to close the deal, so to speak?
Yeah. So you're talking about for promoters or customers or both, or?
I'd say both. Yeah.
Money, most generally, I find that a lot of times with customers, they may say, how much is it or whatever, or that's expensive. So how I overcome that is I understand how you feel. I use the feel felt found. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but I always say, I understand how you feel. I felt the same way whenever I first started as well. But what I found is that, Thrive is only $5 a day. And oh my gosh, I was spending over $5 a day on coffee, on junk food. I had a big sweet tooth and so forth. So not only do I feel so much better, but I'm not drinking my coffee, I don't have a sweet tooth anymore, so I am saving tons of money. Plus I'm also getting my product for free, which is really simple, just by getting 2 referrals. And if you want to get your product for free, I will definitely help you with that. So the money part, I don't have any problems. To me, that is really easy. You just got to break it down per day and then share your personal experience. And I share that because I thought that, you guys. I mean, I remember when I found out how much it costs, I told Carrie Ann, I'm like, do people really pay this? I mean, I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you. But then, and she was like, yes, they do. Wait till you experience it. And she was right. Once I experienced it, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I get my product for free. But I would pay for it if I had to, because it's worth every single penny. And I know I'm saving money because it's only $5 a day. So for me, that part of it is pretty easy. Sometimes I get resistance on promoters, with the promoter kits. And I tell them, I'm completely honest. I'm an open book. And I say, you know what, you do not have to order, a promoter kit, because it's free to do so. But I will tell you, it was a lot easier and for me to hit my bonus. And if I didn't order that promoter kit, I don't think I would have hit my VIP and VIP 1600 bonus, because I was basically the middle person. I bought that product from Lavelle. I divvied it up into trials, and I turned around and sold it to my family and friends for the same cost that I purchased it for. So I was just kind of the middle person getting out. So I got my money back, from that. And then I took that money and I went and bought more products, so I'd have more trials, to be able to take. So I tell people, you're going to get your money back. You're just kind of the middle person. And I tell them, I said, you can do it without it, but I'm going to be honest, and it's going to be tougher to be able to hit your bonuses, because that's how I hit my bonuses, was getting product out into people's hands as fast as possible. I mean, when my promoter kit came, you guys, I already had a list of people that needed it, and I got that out as fast as I could, so I could get product into people's hands. So I kind of share my personal experience with that, with promoters on the money side. So that usually really kind of helps. And now, you guys, they have that. If you order the 4-star kit, you have the 10 3-day free samples that come with it. I didn't have that whenever I started. Lisa didn't have that when he started. I mean, I love that, because what I had to do is I placed my order as a promoter. My 14 days started. I had to wait for my promoter kit to come. I had to get those into trials, and then I had to get them out to people that already had a list, people that were wanting to experience it. So my time was already ticking and time went away. So what I do with new promoters, and I didn't even mention this when you were talking about this earlier, but those people that are interested and they take the trial route, and my new promoter doesn't have their promoter kit, I have them get those 10 samples out ASAP. I mean, I put that urgency in there, come up with 10 people. We want to be selective on that, but let's get those samples out as soon as possible. So literally they can order their promoter kit and start becoming a promoter, and they can get those samples out right then and there. And so their product is arriving about the same time as my new promoters getting their promoter kit, if that makes sense. So it makes it even more easier, achievable to be able to earn those bonuses. And then as far as the time, Lisa, you mentioned the time, people saying, I don't have time for this or whatever. I tell people, you get out of it what you put into it, I don't take the time part. I feel like that's just an excuse, because and I don't tell people that, especially if it's somebody I'm talking to, that I think might be interested in promoting or whatever, that they're concerned about it. But my thinking is, once they get into it and they see success, I mean, you make time for your priorities. You guys, I had a demanding job when I started this. Gosh, I was working probably 50, 60 hours a week. I live in a small town where I worked. It was probably about a 35, 40-minute commute to get there and to get back. So I was leaving my home at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't getting home at 6 o'clock, and sometimes even later than that, because I had some evening events to attend and so forth. And I had 4 kids that are very, very active. We're going nonstop. And I was able to grow this business doing this, but it was a priority to me. And I worked in the nooks and crannies of my day, and I could not work at work. We had a no cell phone policy. I was a leader. I had to set a good example. I couldn't even have my cell phone out. So it wasn't like I could be messaging people at work. Not that I would do that anyway, but messaging people at work or anything like that. Like some people do. I mean, I couldn't do that. I barely got a lunch break. I take my lunch and, eat on the fly, eat a sandwich or whatever, just because my job was just so demanding. So, when it comes to time, I'm like, okay, if I can do this, anybody can do this. But I made sacrifices that I chose to do because I wanted it, and I wanted it really, really bad. I would wake up extremely early and work my business before I left at 7 o'clock in the morning. I was listening to everything that I could. It was too early to do. We did a lot of 3-way calls back then, but it was too early to do 3-way calls, whenever I left for work. So I was listening to recordings. I was listening to Paul. I was listening to other leaders. I was listening to Maria, anything that I couldn't hop on the day before or whatever, just trying to absorb everything that I could and learn. And then a lot of times on the way back home, I was doing 3-way calls. We were doing 3-way calls, at basketball games, at softball games, community events. I mean, you name it. I was like, gosh, I can do this, anywhere. But I made that decision to do that because I saw the vision and I wanted it that bad. Now, when you have somebody brand new, they may not see the vision. And when I first started, I didn't, so how I address it at the very beginning is basically like, what you put into it is what you get out of it. But, if I were to kind of showed them the vision of what this company does, and that's what they want to do, then I share my story. This is how I did it, and you can do it as well. And then, like I said, sometimes it's just, a couple of extra $100 that they want to make or get their car paid, maybe small goals, and then that's fine. So anyway, you just get out of it what you put into it, and that's what I tell, and I just share how I do it on a daily basis and how I did it from the very beginning.
Awesome. No, that's all good. Taking notes over here. We are coming up on the top of the hour, so I probably have time for like one more question. So here's what I want to ask you. What would you tell everybody, whether they started today or they've been in, 9 years since Lavelle started? What are 3 things or whatever, 3 to 5 things that you think everybody needs to do every single day for their business, no matter what's happening in their life?
Yep. I would say, grow your network is definitely, so that's something that I always do every day. Grow your network. people do birthdays differently. But that's one thing that I do every day, because I feel like it helps, with the algorithms, reaching out to people and so forth. So that's something, that I do. And networking. This is networking business, and I feel like it's really important to be able to network, with other people. Other than that, it's just, staying, you got to stay consistent. I mean, I don't know, I just really believe in consistency. And there's times when I'll be completely honest, life has happened to me hard within the last couple of weeks, and I have not been consistent. I'm like what I wanted to. I still showed up, but not like what I wanted to. And you guys, that's okay. When that happens, I've shared some personal things, with Carrie Ann, and said, it's almost over with. Things are going to get much better, and I promise, I'll be back in the game full force. I'm ready to go. And she's like, I got you, girl. I mean, she knows what's going on. And those are going to happen. So there may be sometimes when I wasn't, always consistent with this because of life that's happened, and that's okay. But as much as you can be really consistent, with growing your network, building relationships, networking with people, and gosh, guys, help your new promoters. I preach that all the time. Look at your VIP report and see who is in their bonus period, and reach out and help them, even if it's not you're personally enrolled. Because I truly believe that's the backbone. One of the backbones of this business is helping people to hit their VIP 800 and VIP 1600 bonus. And sometimes you may have a promoter, that you enroll, and then maybe they're brand new because you just enrolled them, and then they're enrolling promoters and so forth. Or maybe it's somebody that's kind of out of the game that enrolled. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. Don't rely on the person that enrolled them to help them to be successful, because that doesn't always happen. Now, sometimes I'll look at it and be like, oh, they're with that person. That person's got it, but sometimes I don't take that for granted, and make sure to reach out to them and introduce myself. I'm here to help. How are things going? I ask open-ended questions to start building that relationship. And honestly, I try to get them on the phone so I can build a better relationship that way. But I do believe that's extremely important as well. So hopefully that'll help answer your question, Lisa.
No, that was so good. So good. I love that last one. Okay. One more question.
Mhm.
Whatever, like anything on your heart, your mind, like, I don't know, anything you want to leave us with that you're like, okay, before I get off here, I got to say this.
Yep. I would say, I don't know everybody that's on here, so I don't know where you're at with this business, but you got to believe. I truly believe, you guys, we have the best product that there is ever. The stories is what drives my emotions, and I am so passionate about. I cannot imagine going one day without these 3 steps. And you guys, I have not missed. I can honestly say I have not missed one day in 6.5 years with my 3 steps ever. We all have the same product. We all have the same tools. You've got to share, and not to share, hey, I'm thriving. You've got to share what it's actually doing for you, because that's what's going to hit people's emotions, and they're going to be able to relate, to that part of it. So anyhow, you got to keep sharing. You've got to be consistent. But, most importantly, know that we all have the same vehicle. I am nobody special, you guys. I'm just a banker. I had no experience. I just had a passion, and I saw the vision. And that's why I'm a huge vision board. So you've got to be able to picture where you're going, and you have to have that mindset to get there. And that's something I actually taught in the banking industry. It's kind of crazy how some of the things I learned in the banking industry I can actually implement here, because I taught some classes there, and that's one of the things we talked about, what was mindset, and I'm a true believer in it. See it, believe it, achieve it. I say that all the time. See it, believe it, achieve it. But that's how I got to 200K, because I saw that vision. And I believed that I could do it, and I could happen, and I made it happen. So know that we all have the same product, we all have the same vehicle. You just got to have the vision and put in the work and go after it, and be consistent. And don't let anything, I'm telling you what, don't let anything stand in your way. You're going to have roadblocks, but don't think of them as roadblocks. Think of it as stepping stones to get to the next place. There's a reason why that roadblock got into your way. Learn from it and say, okay, what's going on? What am I supposed to learn from here? And move on to that next stepping stone. Because I don't know, I'm a true believer anybody can be successful, in this company. And I'm not a true believer that anybody can be successful in any multi-level marketing company. I'm truly not. Because not every compensation plan is the same, not every business model is the same, and not every product is the same. We have those three things right there, the best. I can honestly say that in this entire industry. I've seen it, and I know Lisa has too, and I can honestly say it is the absolute best. So anyhow, just have the right mindset. And and if you don't have the right mindset, what can you do to do that? I am statements, vision board. I mean, those are things that you can do, that I have done consistently to have that right mindset. But anyway, I'm a true believer that if I can do this, so can you. Anybody can. Anything else?
Amen. No, so good. I couldn't have ended that any better though. You're so right. Like, we truly do. Somebody said that to me the other day. They're like, everybody says that about their company. And I'm like, no, I mean it. Like,
can I say one more thing? Yeah, someone just said, talking about Jason Camper. And yes, you guys, oh my gosh, I should have mentioned this earlier. If you have not read this book, go buy it right now and read it. I'm telling you what, this is probably one of the best books that I have ever read. It is so good. And I think that's probably where I got that Stepping Stone app, because someone just quoted that in the chat. And I was like, that hit home with me, because I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. But I don't know, just seeing how hard Jason and Paul have worked for us to get us where we're at today makes me appreciate this company and this business even more. And I already did before I read it, but this book, you guys, I read it in 2 days, and I don't think I've ever read a book in 2 days. I could not put it down. I was up late reading it. I couldn't put it down. It is so good. So if you have not read it, go buy it today. Sorry, Lisa.
Amen. No, seriously, go buy it, guys. Because it is good. Thank you so much. So much for taking time out of your life to spend the last hour with us. And I'm sure there's people on here that have tons of notes and they needed to hear from you today. So I just really appreciate you for saying yes. And if you ever need anything, let me know. I will be happy to return the favor. Thank you so much. And you guys, we just got paid 2 minutes ago. So don't forget to show the world how excited and grateful you are to receive a paycheck every Tuesday. On your social media, don't forget. And thank you again, Dawn, you're amazing. And to all of you guys who plugged in today and who plug in every single Tuesday. If you're new, this Zoom happens every Tuesday, same time, same link, same place. Meet us here, different guests every week sharing their story and tips. And it's truly priceless. I always say we get paid twice on Tuesdays, once with our paycheck and once with this awesome Zoom. Stealing everybody's awesome tips. I mean, that's the way to grow your business, is to surround yourself with people that you want to be like. And this Zoom is the place to do it. So thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Happy payday. Thanks again. Thanks, Dawn.
Guys, bye.